What's your question for me, Frank?
To say, like, if you were a professional wrestler, what would your outfit look like as far as like the bottom trunks?
The
'Cause I don't
bottom
think I could.
trunks?
Yeah, I don't think I could do the speedo look. I'd be afraid of my junk falling out on on the mat or national television. I'd have to wear like the Cena shorts or like some long like tights or something. I don't think I could do the speedo look.
I'd wear a kilt like Roddy Piper.
But you would have to have something under it though, right?
Well, yeah, you just wear like regular kind of like Spanx leggings. Like they don't kind of cup the balls, They they go like mid thigh, so they're covering your nuts.
I just never like some of these dudes are just like 300, 400 pounds and they're wearing these little ass Speedos. One, it's just not a good look. But second, it's like, man, aren't you afraid your balls are going to bust out the bottom of that thing?
Well, maybe their balls are trained to stay in their home.
You think they taped them up?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
Hmm.
Vera says that she can't see us. We know this is the beginning dark show, Vera. This is just hanging out.
I wouldn't want
The
to.
show hasn't officially started yet.
That just sounds bad.
What? Oh. Taping your balls?
Taping your balls up.
All right. Are you ready to get this pig going?
So where does the other end of that tape go?
Your taint. Right, everybody, how in the hell are we all doing today? Why is my microphone so quiet? Check 1 2, chickadee.
Sounds pretty good over
Check
there.
1 2, chickadee. Vero says this is a weird convo to over here. Yeah, that was kind of the point. That's kind of that's the whole goal of that, is to make it as weird as possible. All right, really quick before we kind of do the rundown of the show and everything. Coming up here at the beginning of March, there's going to be at least one live stream, most likely two, that we will not have. And that's going to be coming up here March 5th, and most likely at least March 12th. We're going to be off on the live stream. It might even roll into the 19th because I'm going to be on vacation. And then we're moving. At least that's the plan. We put an offer on a house. The offer was accepted. The inspection is tomorrow, so we're hoping that everything goes smoothly there, and then we can move into our new house. We put a closing date on March 3rd, so Fingers crossed.
Do you have termites over there in El Paso?
I mean, I'm paying for a termite inspection, so I'd say yes.
It's one of those weird thoughts. Like, would there? I mean, there's termites in Africa, and those, but it's like, I don't know. I just never thought about termites actually being in the desert.
I would imagine we have something that could do some damage here. All right. What do we have coming up here? So we're going to get to some things that you did not know. Of course, after we get to the YouTube polls. Things that you did not know. We're going to be covering The Breakfast Club, Chris Farley, LeVar Burton, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Blue Chips, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Alan Rickman, The Miracle on Ice, Falling Down, and Johnny Cash. Plus, we're going to have AI poems about Michael Bay movies, and we're going to do a John Hughes movie draft. And if you're wondering why we're covering so much, it's because I'm essentially planning out all of the content for those few weeks that we're going to be off, either on vacation and or moving. What's that, Frank?
So for the next 2 years.
No, just next couple of few weeks. We're just kind of planning ahead because essentially, if you aren't familiar with the live stream, what we do is we cover a particular topic. Like today, we'll talk about The Breakfast Club, and then I pull that out of the live stream, and then that gets uploaded separately. Because in all honesty, these live streams don't get a ton of views. I do appreciate, like, Vero's here. So the people who do show up, I appreciate you. But in general, most of the views come for when I isolate that stuff later after the fact. All right, first YouTube poll there, Frank. Let's get this pig rolling.
We're rolling a pig?
We're rolling a pig, man. Oh, yeah. Frank and I were also talking about how that video on No One Would Tell with Fred Savage and Candace Cameron. I mean, it got a decent spike. It's got 800. Right now, it's got 875 views on it. So if you've missed that, go watch it. And in reality, too, it's people clicking on it. Just because it's showing up, they're browsing it, and it's just showing up on the YouTube home.
Good.
Interesting.
Get that algorithm.
Yeah, let me, because there's other things that you can look at as far as like retention goes, like how long people are watching.
Oh man, attention in this country is not very long.
It's about average, so it's not too shabby. Some people were pissing and moaning about it. They were like, these guys just talk over each other.
Does he not know the point of like podcasts or shows like this? That's what people do in all of them.
Yeah, I mean, our timing, we still need to work on our timing. Like that's a thing that needs to happen. But yeah, in general, that's kind of how the conversations work. And it's difficult too, because here's the thing: I can't see Frank. He can see me because he's looking at his screen. The problem is my monitor that has like Alan.
Hey,
Alan. He's not here. He's at a family dinner tonight. But yeah, so that was like, it's over here, but my scripts are over here, and the pictures are here. So I can't really see when somebody's talking, and Frank mumbles a lot. So I can't tell when he's trying to say something.
I don't know. I guess I'm trying not to talk too loud, and I should just be loud.
Well, wait for a pause and then make your statement.
Nah, what's the point of that?
All right, well, we're going to get to this here. We're going to get to some YouTube polls. Head over to my YouTube page. You can find this under the posts or community section. And let's scroll on down and let's go to... We're going to recap the last one that we had, or the last one that we did last week, which is who you're rooting for in this year's Super Bowl. Yeah. The Philadelphia Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs, or neither. I kind of hope they find a way for both teams to lose.
I think everybody went with neither, if I remember right.
I thought last week it was on the Eagles.
Was it the Eagles?
But now it's neither. I kind of hope they find a way for both teams to lose. 44%, 41% are rooting for the Eagles, 15% are rooting for the Chiefs. And it's funny, I know some Chiefs fans, and they're like, "Why does everybody hate the Chiefs? Why? And it's like, because you're now where the Patriots were." Vero says she's looking forward to the commercials. Man, unfortunately, I haven't looked forward to the commercials in the longest time because they all come out ahead of time.
Same thing with the trailers.
They're all available before the Super Bowl. Like it's pointless. All right, here we go. Next YouTube poll here. Frank had to do with our movie draft from last week, which was 1995 movies. What is the best movie that was released in 1995. The 4 options I put there were Braveheart, Billy Madison, Desperado, or Heat.
I still think it's going to be Braveheart. But Heat definitely has me tripping up for a second.
Yeah, okay, give you your point. I was looking for it there. Vera says, what if it ended in a tie? It can't end in a tie. That's like the one game, or any playoff game essentially, is the one where they keep doing overtime until they find a winner. Back to the YouTube poll.
Until someone dies.
Until somebody dies. All right, Braveheart, 49% of the vote. Oddly enough, though, Heat came in second at 22%. I mean, not really. Billy Madison came in third. Desperado only got 9% of that vote. People don't like Desperados because people are racist.
I don't think a lot of people have seen that movie.
That's such a good movie. Such a good movie. All right, here we go. Next YouTube poll. Do you shower in the morning when you wake up? Shower before bed? Which one, Frank? Which one do you think won the poll, and which one do you do?
I think morning won. That's what I do.
In the morning?
Yeah. Well,
no, I'm sorry. 63% of people said that they shower before bed.
It's like I work in an office, so I'm not getting sweaty. So there's really no point to get one at night when I might sweat in the bed at night, or I might, whatever reason. So I always get up and get one in the morning and feel refreshed. And then if I have something during the day where I sweat, I'm going to get one beforehand or before I go to bed. But I'm a morning shower.
Yeah, I just took one. I generally shower at night because I work out most days, and so I do an ice bath at night, and then I shower, and then I'm ready to go. Vera says, "Sorry, I've been watching too much European football." But see, here's the thing: American football can end in ties. That was always the funny thing where you could tell if somebody never actually watches the NFL, where they're like, "Oh," like if they're making fun of you for watching, soccer. They're like, "Oh, you must not. You must like ties." And it's like, dude, you realize that
I bet you like
NFL can end in a tie as well, and it has. But even then, playoff, you can't have them end in a tie. They gotta find a wiener.
We had a game in a tie here back in 1994.
1904. What?
Yeah, 1994 in college football. The choke at Doak.
The choke? What happened there?
Florida was up 21 points going into the fourth quarter, and Florida State came back and tied it, and they just ran out of time, and that was it. The game ended in a tie.
Yeah, now college football doesn't end in a tie. Essentially, they just go for 2-point conversions until somebody fails and the other one team gets it.
And then we played Florida in the bowl game in New Orleans, and they called that the fifth quarter, and we won.
Hey, look at that.
Suck it, Florida.
Look at you guys. All right, next YouTube poll. You can watch one of these movies from 1980. Which one are you choosing? Empire Strikes Back, The Shining, Airplane, or Caddyshack?
Well, I'm a Star Wars nerd, so I'm going Empire. And I believe that one is the one that won it.
You are correct, sir. Yeah, it's 57% of the vote went to The Empire Strikes Back. Shining came in second, and then Caddyshack, and then Airplane. Ooh, here's a good one for you. Which decade of the NBA was the best? The 80s, 90s, 2000s, or 2010s?
90s.
Not even close. 73% of people voted for the 1990s as the best.
I hear a lot of that lately, how people are just more, and maybe it's because we're at that age range now where the ones I grew up with that are talking about it more. But there's been this argument with individuals that, the Michael Jordan LeBron argument, that Jordan didn't play anybody, that he was playing like plumbers and electricians. And I have to sit there and go, no, they were.
I thought the plumbers and electrician comment was more against Wilt Chamberlain and guys like that.
But you'll have some of these younger kids that are, some of these guys that are huge fans of LeBron, that's what they say about the Jordan era. Oh, he didn't play against anybody but plumbers and electricians. Is nah, man, they were getting the crap.
Dude, Jordan had to get through murderers row. First of all, he had to get through the Celtics and the Pistons back in the 80s.
Yeah, and I think that's just dumb people really sucking on LeBron that don't want to admit that Jordan played actual ball players.
Well, the thing that I find interesting was that back in the 90s, I wasn't a Bulls fan. I'm a Blazers fan, and he beat the Blazers in the finals. But even when they did the three-peats, I never found myself rooting against the Bulls. I almost want... Now, granted, that generally meant the Bulls were playing a team that I hated from the Western Conference, whether that's the Phoenix Suns or the Utah Jazz, or although I did like the Sonics. Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, loved them. But I never found myself rooting against the Bulls. Whereas now, granted, obviously when the Patriots dynasty in the NFL, I wasn't rooting against them, but I'm to the point now I'm actively rooting against the Chiefs because I'm already bored with it. Same thing with the Warriors when they were winning all the time.
As a New York Knicks fan, I was always rooting against the Bulls because they put the dagger in the heart of Knicks so many times in the 90s. I was always, whatever Western Conference team was playing against them, I was hoping that they would have won, but at the same time, I was sitting there going, it's not going to happen.
That did not end well for Frank. Hey, Charlie, what's up, buddy? Charlie's in the chat. Charlie. All right, a few more YouTube polls before we get to the stuff you didn't know. Would you rather be in jail for 5 years or be in a coma for 10 years?
What 10 years would it be?
I don't know.
Man, I mean, I would probably take the coma because at least that'll go by quick and it won't feel like 10 years. Whereas sitting in jail for 5 would almost feel like 10 years because you're just rotting away in a cell. So I'm going to go with coma.
Well, there was one person that commented that they apparently were in a coma and they're out of it now. Now, obviously, it's the internet, so take this with a grain of salt. But they were like, yeah, you're not just sleeping. Like they're making the claim that it's not the same. And there's also a lot of people that are like, you're not in jail for 5 years. If it's that long, it's prison. And it's like,
no, it's actually
clearly
not.
you've fucking been there.
No, it's actually, they will, depending on the degree of the crime and depending on also what city you're from or in, they might just keep you in the local jail for a couple years to pay your due to society.
There you go.
Like they do that here. Yeah, they do that here in Tallahassee all the time at our local jail. They'll keep people in there 3, 4, 5 years, and instead of sending them upstate because it saves the state money just to keep them local. And why send them to Orlando or why send them out to Shipley or Milton? Just keep them local. Their families are here and whatever. So some people that are going to prison, you dumbasses.
On that note, Charlie, thank you for the super chat there, buddy.
Thanks, Charlie.
Okay, so which one are you picking? Are you picking coma or jail?
I'm still going coma.
Yeah. 63% of people said that they would rather be in a coma for 10 years than in jail for 5 years. All right, 2 more YouTube polls here. You can only watch one decade's movies for the rest of your life. Which decade are you picking? 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. None of this old shit that Frank likes.
No, I mean,
I like to watch movies from before they were talkies. What?
Yeah, I was about to say, you don't have the silent era in there? What are we doing? Dude, it's going to be between the 80s and 90s.
Big Buster Keaton fan, Frank is.
Dude, I am. He was a genius. I'm going to pull 90s, but I think the 80s is going to win.
So which one are you going with?
I'm going 90s, but I think the 80s is going to win.
You should have gone with 80s, my man.
Yeah. I think there's just a lot of nostalgic on the 80s stuff now.
I probably would have gone 90s. I thought 80s is so good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, both of those decades had really great movies come out. I mean, it was just a good 20-year period for the studios and theaters.
I mean, coming up on later on here in the live stream, we're going to be covering kind of 2 essential guys that covered the 80s and the 90s, John Hughes and Michael Bay.
Yeah.
But yeah, 47% of people voted for the 80s, 36% voted for the 90s, 12% for the 2000s, and just 6% for the 2010s. All right, Final YouTube poll. Would you rather wake up in Freaky Friday or wake up in Groundhog Day?
Well, what kind of Freaky Friday is it?
One person legitimately goes, "What's Freaky Friday?"
Well, yeah, like what kind of Freaky Friday?
You just wake up in somebody else's body. It could be you pick anybody. No, it's good. It's got you wake up in your dad's body. Because Frank doesn't have any kids. Huh?
That I know of. In that case, it would be Groundhog Day. I don't want to be in my dad's body.
80% of people.
The same day.
80% of people said that they want to wake up in Groundhog Day.
Did you watch the 24 hours of it on AMC this past?
I did not.
That's the only time I watch it.
Oh, there was one time on the morning show where it was on Groundhog Day, and I specifically there are things called rejoins, and that's essentially what brings you from commercials back into the show. And I produced one where it played "Put Your Little Hand in Mine," I Got You, Babe, which is what he wakes up to every morning.
Every morning.
Every single time we came out of commercial break, it was the exact same thing.
Sonny and Cher. Huh?
I found it very creative, but it was also an easy way for me to do less work because I only had to produce one of them. All right, Frank, are you ready?
I hope so.
All right, well, here we go.
What am I ready for?
Things that you did not know about The Breakfast Club.
Dude, I was going to say, I just got one of those Funko Pops of John Bender as he's walking away with his fist in the air.
Where is it?
And it's in the other room. I'd have to run and get it real quick.
All right, next week, make sure that you show it to us.
I have to remind myself.
So The Breakfast Club was released on February 15th, 1985. It had a budget of $1 million. That was it. But it made $51.5 million at the box office. And the one thing I just realized as I cued this music, when I get some extra time, when we get moved to our new house and stuff and everything kind of gets situated, I got to start picking music that matches the theme of what we're doing. Like there should be this needs to be 80s music, right?
Yeah, something, yeah. Some little saxophone or something.
Yeah.
Little pop beat.
Did you know The Breakfast Club was filmed at an actual high school, but the library was fake? The Breakfast Club was filmed at Maine North High School in Des Plaines, Illinois, which had been closed down in 1981 due to declining enrollment. The school's library was too small for filming, so the production team built a much larger library set inside the school's gymnasium. The same high school was also used for exterior shots in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, another John Hughes classic movie.
Was it like the theory that they all went to the same high school or something like that, like Ferris Bueller and then went to the same high school? Wasn't there some sort of fan theory about that?
I don't know, but I'm writing that down. I'm making a note of that. John Hughes high school theory?
Yeah, the Ferris Bueller Breakfast Club connection. I thought there was some like fan theory that they had all not maybe at the same time, but it was supposed to be like the same high school.
Well, I mean, that would have essentially kind of made Ferris. What was he, a senior?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a senior.
So.
Sloan was younger. That's right. I was getting that mixed up. So that would have meant that maybe he was a sophomore. Like he'd be a couple years younger than these guys. I don't know.
This movie came out in 84 or 85, right?
Just said it. 1985.
I wasn't paying attention.
And Ferris Bueller was 87?
6 or 87, yeah, like a year or two later.
86, yeah. So it's been 1 year later. All right, the cast spent time in character before filming. To help the actors get into character, director John Hughes had them spend time in rehearsals improvising as their roles. He even had the cast write real-life essays from the perspectives of their characters, similar to the assignment they were given in the movie. The result was more authentic performances, with actors bringing their own personal experiences into the film. Which also leads into the next fact here. Many scenes were improvised. One of the most famous scenes, where all the students sit in a circle and confess their personal struggles, was mostly unscripted. Hughes let the actors improvise and speak freely about their characters' backstories, making the scene feel more raw and emotional. Judd Nelson, aka Bender, also improvised many of his sarcastic lines, including the famous "Eat my shorts." And apparently we're sticking on Judd Nelson here because he almost got fired.
Yeah.
He stayed in character as the rebellious John Bender, even off camera, which led to real tension on set. He frequently mocked and antagonized Molly Ringwald, making John Hughes so frustrated that he almost fired Nelson. However, co-star Paul Gleason, who played Principal Vernon, defended Nelson, arguing that his method acting was actually enhancing his performance.
Guess what school Paul Gleason graduated from?
Is it your high school?
Florida State, and he played football here.
Oh, good God. Everything comes back to Florida State. And finally, the famous dance scene was not planned. The energetic dance montage in the library was not originally in the script. John Hughes had music playing between takes, and the cast began freestyling their own dance moves for fun. Hughes loved it so much that he decided to include it in the final cut, making it one of the film's most iconic moments. I totally forgot I can use my little scroller here to turn the volume up and down on this. I don't know why I don't use that more.
Things happen.
Yeah, that's all right. All right,
Ready to Estevez showing his guns. I think Bender actually has bigger arms than Emilio. It could just be.
He doesn't need to prove it, though. Remember, Emilio was the jock.
Yeah, that's true. The wrestling. He had to prove to his dad he could wrestle.
Emilio! Is your phone next to your microphone?
No.
Are you lying to me?
No.
I'm looking at you right now, and I'm looking at you looking down at your goddamn phone. I can hear that.
Looking at my little book here.
What? Okay, I got to ask before we move on to the next one here. What's in your book?
Oh, that's just keeping track of the family lineage thing I was doing. I was writing names down.
Frank is all about answering. Where's your phone? Because it's glitching something.
It might just be my mic. It might be time to get a new mic. My phone's.
I think it is time to get a new mic.
It might be time to get a new mic. This one might be on its last legs.
I'll see if I'll check my budget and I'll see if I can't get one shipped over to you. Which, by the way, before we jump into Chris Farley here, we are trying to get a movie club going where I'm going to recommend a movie every single week. And then if you are a member of the channel, and you only have to be just a channel supporter, it's 99 cents. Or I'm thinking maybe the $1.99 tier. I don't know. I haven't quite decided yet.
We'll get it figured out.
Yeah, essentially what it's going to be is I'm going to recommend one movie a week, and then everybody who is a member of my YouTube channel for that week, you're entered in a drawing. And I'm going to purchase something that's going to be either memorabilia or something linked to that movie. And then I'm going to randomly draw a name, and I'm going to send that up, and whoever gets it is going to win that prize. And I got to tell you, the first thing, I'm just going to describe to you what it is that I found. I'll show you a picture of it next week, maybe, because the first movie is going to be Tombstone. I showed Frank what I found. It's a whiskey glass that's got Doc Holliday's mustache on the top, and it just says, what's the line?
I'm your Huckleberry?
No, it's Huckleberry.
You're a Daisy if you do?
No, it was the nonsense. I have not yet begun to defile myself. Oh, such a good line. Charlie, if you want to do it from the YouTube channel, there should be a spot where you can become a channel member. I'm not sure because mine looks different than everybody else's, because mine has like the YouTube tools and stuff on it. So if somebody could help Charlie become a channel supporter, that would be greatly beneficial, because essentially I'm shooting to have a minimum of 10 of at least 10 members of the channel. And then once I get to that 10 mark, then I'll start doing the movie club thing. So Frank, get off your butt and figure out how we're going to do this thing. All right.
Off the butt.
All right, here we go. Things that you did not know about Chris Farley. He was born on February 15th, 1964. He passed away December 18th, 1997.
Mm-hmm.
This is one that I think most people know now, but man, just in case you don't, he was the original voice of Shrek.
Yeah, you can find the actual footage of him, or the sound.
Oh, hold on. Oh, we're getting to that.
Oh, boy.
So Chris Farley was the original voice of Shrek and had recorded nearly all of his dialogue before his death in 1997. Unlike Mike Myers' Scottish accented Shrek, Farley's version was softer and more innocent, focusing on the character's insecurities. After Farley's passing, DreamWorks decided to rewrite the script and recast the role, with Mike Myers bringing his own take on the character. This was also one of the internet's white whales for like the longest time, because when it started to leak out that Chris Farley not only had been cast in the role, but he had also pretty much voiced the entire movie, or at least chunks of it, people were scouring the internet for this thing, and for the longest time we couldn't find it. Now you can. I'm pretty sure if you just hear on YouTube when the live stream's done, or when you're done watching this video, just look it up and you'll be able to find the Chris Farley version of Shrek. He was a member of Chicago's Second City before Saturday Night Live. Before joining Saturday Night Live, Farley trained at Chicago's Second City, the legendary improv and sketch comedy theater. He was discovered there by SNL producer Lorne Michaels, who hired him in 1990 alongside Adam Sandler, David Spade, and Chris Rock.
Tim Meadows sitting there too.
At Second City, Farley developed his famous Matt Foley motivational speaker character, which became a Saturday Night Live favorite. Is that Bob Odenkirk?
Yeah, it is. I was going to say Odenkirk and Tim Meadows are in that picture with him, because Tim Meadows came over, I think like about the same time or a year later.
He idolized John Belushi and had an eerily similar fate. Yeah. Chris Farley idolized SNL alum John Belushi, even mimicking his high-energy physical comedy style. Tragically, both Farley and Belushi died at the age of 33 from a drug overdose. Farley was aware of the similarities and often joked about them, but struggled with the same demons that led to Belushi's untimely death. Man, my nose is itching like a son of a bitch today. Did you know Chris Farley was supposed to star in The Cable Guy?
Would have made the movie better.
Farley was originally cast in The Cable Guy, but had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts and his commitment to Black Sheep. The role eventually went to Jim Carrey, who was paid a then-record $20 million for the part. Many fans believe Farley's version of the character would have had a different comedic tone, possibly making the film more slapstick than dark humor. I've got a confession. I've never seen it.
Dude, I went. That was the one, because this was when Jim Carrey was in his prime with all his movies coming out year after year after year. And I think it was maybe one of the holiday breaks. My brothers and I went with my dad to go see it, expecting it to be like the Ace Ventura or Mask type movie.
Yep.
And then that whole movie is just him stalking Matthew Roderick.
Ferris
and
Bueller.
just- yeah, and it wasn't even funny. It was the weirdest stuff, and like we left out of that going, "What the hell did we just watch?"
I think that now it's grown into a movie that people now love because they essentially know what it is. But there was a lot of people that were in Frank's boat where they went to go check out the movie thinking that it was going to be kind of your classic Jim Carrey movie, and it certainly is not.
It is not.
And finally, back to Chris Farley, he was almost Fatty Arbuckle in a biopic. Before his death, Farley was attached to star in a biopic about Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle, a silent film comedian whose career was destroyed by a scandal. Silent films, that's right up your alley there, Frank.
Hey.
Frank likes that old shit.
For the talkies.
The film would have been a dramatic departure from Farley's usual comedies, showcasing his serious acting skills. Unfortunately, Farley passed away before production could begin, and the movie was never made.
Is that one of those deaths that you remember where you were when you heard that he had passed?
No.
I actually remember where I was when I heard that he had passed.
Oddly enough, a lot of those, like Chris Farley, Phil Hartman, I don't remember where I was when I heard the news, but I remember how impactful it was, because with Phil Hartman being on news radio, which was arguably one of my favorite shows at the time. And then I remember specifically I had a class when I was a senior in high school. The whole class was you become a swim instructor.
Right.
So we, like, the first term or semester or whatever, you learn how to do, swim and learn all the strokes and how to teach it. And then for the second part of the year, they brought in elementary school kids, and they would learn how to swim from us. And we got paid for it, too. We literally got paid for school. And I remember there's one kid that was in this class with us who was obsessed with Chris Farley. Like this kid, that's all, like that was his entire sense of humor was Chris Farley.
Good kid.
And like, well, he also played baseball. I played baseball too. But this kid played baseball and he kept talking about how he had a full ride scholarship to Arizona State. He did not.
I just remember being in the car at Target because it was around the holidays, and we were listening to the radio, and like the local DJ broke in, was like, "Man, we got some bad news." And normally when a radio DJ at that time would say something, you would think it would be like a musical, star.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, "Yeah, Chris Farley was found dead today of apparent overdose." I was like, "Holy crap!" I can remember that, down to exactly where I was at that time.
Yeah, we can get really dark too, if you want to, because his death pictures are on the internet.
Jesus.
Yeah, I've seen them. I looked that shit up. It's weird. I have a problem.
Did you also look up Dale Earnhardt's?
No, are those out there too?
They used to be. I don't know. I don't remember if they took them off. It might have been one of those things here in Florida that, because I think like some reporter tried to get a hold of them and was going to publish them or whatever, and then they ended up making it a law here in Florida that you could not publish like the death pictures of individuals or something like that.
Interesting.
But I think they leaked online at one point as well.
Because the way that it happened is I fell down a rabbit hole. I was looking up like JFK conspiracies, and obviously his photos are there. And there was like one website where it was like celebrity death photos, and I'm like, fuck, click, 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 click. It's like, Jesus, man.
Could have been like a site full of viruses. You're like, no, I gotta see.
I wasn't downloading anything. You were just there. Yeah, it was bad, man. It was. I've seen some shit. That doesn't include all the stuff that we used to see over on what was it, steakandcheese.com.
I just have never been interested in looking up the death pictures of.
I'll send them to you.
My thing. Thank you.
All right, moving on. Here we go. Things that you did not know about LeVar Burton. And as we had just recently done things that you didn't know about Breakfast Club, and I was like, I really should add 80s music. I can't use the Reading Rainbow theme song because it's copyrighted.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask Frank to sing it right now.
You don't want to get DMAC'd?
Sing it, come on.
Butterfly in the sky. I can go twice as high.
Yeah, do what?
Take a look.
Where?
It's in a book.
Yeah.
Reading Rainbow, Rainbow. I can do anything.
I need a lighter.
Reading Rainbow. I feel like Peter from Family Guy.
Or they,
Holy crap, Jesus sitting happy.
That was his Christmas album. Holy crap,
Yeah.
here comes Jesus, and he doesn't look too happy. Fa la la la, fa la la la. I brought these gifts for you. They're up in my bum. All right, we got off track. LeVar Burton. He was born on February 16th, 1957. He became famous at just 19 years old for
The Roots.
LeVar Burton's breakout role was playing Kunta Kinte in the landmark 1977 miniseries Roots. At just 19. What's up?
I was going to say, so not getting into, because there's been a lot of things that have come out actually about that guy who wrote the book as far as how true that story is. That's like a topic for another time. But did you ever see like the celebrities that do their, like those ancestry shows where they find out who their ancestors are?
Like Ben Affleck, who tried to block it because he found out that his ancestors owned slaves.
Have you ever seen what LeVar Burton found out about his family?
No.
He has a white great-great-grandfather.
Interesting.
It threw him for a loop. He was like, holy crap.
Imagine. Frank, by the way, in case you're not knowing this, Frank is obsessed with ancestries right now.
We all came from somewhere. Brandon. We all came from somewhere.
At just 19 years old, Burton delivered a powerful performance that made him a household name almost overnight. Roots was a massive cultural phenomenon, drawing over 130 million viewers, and remains one of the most watched television events in U.S. history.
Is that Louis Gossett Jr.?
That is. Who also, going back to last week's live stream when we were talking about Blazing Saddles, played the sheriff in the television Blazing Saddles. Which, by the way, Mel Brooks not involved with the TV version of Blazing Saddles.
Plus, he was in Iron Eagle.
He was. LeVar Burton, he fought to get the role as Geordi LaForge in Star Trek. Burton was a lifelong Trekkie and lobbied hard to join Star Trek The Next Generation. Gene Roddenberry created the role of Geordi LaForge, the ship's blind helmsman, later chief engineer, with Burton in mind. LaForge's visor, do you know what that stands for?
Visor?
Yeah.
Vision, aired sensor or something?
Yeah, you're like kind of got two of them. Visual instrument and sensory organ replacement was inspired by real-world assistive technology and became a symbol of disability representation in sci-fi. But if you want to talk about disability representation, like Star Wars had it, dude. Like Vader didn't have any legs and had one arm.
Right?
Like, let's be completely honest here.
Burnt up.
Han Solo was blind after carbonite.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He didn't have a visor.
Luke lost a hand.
Did you know LeVar Burton was the host of Reading Rainbow for over 20 years? From 1983 to 2006, Burton hosted Reading Rainbow, a PBS children's show that encouraged reading and literacy. His catchphrase, "But you don't have to take my word for it," became iconic. The show won 26 Emmys and a Peabody Award, making it one of the most influential educational programs of all time. I had a kid that I knew in like elementary and in middle school that was obsessed with Reading Rainbow.
Obsessed with it?
He legitimately took cardboard boxes and like fake it was like rope meant to look like cords, and he made it like he was producing Reading Rainbow.
See, I always like the only times Reading Rainbow and Bob the painter, dude with the fro. The only times like I actually remember Bob Ross, my man Bob. I call him Bob. You know, we're on a first name basis. It's just. It wasn't like I ever looked for them. They were just like we were in class and you had to watch it. Like I remember our art class would put Bob Ross on days we didn't have anything to do, and we're gonna make some happy little flowers and some happy bushes, you know.
Did you paint along with him, or did you just watch it?
No, they just have us watch. I actually want to try and do that because I know it'll come out like crap. I just know it'll come out like crap.
Quick side story here. Years ago, this was before like the joy of painting with Bob Ross really became accessible online. Mm-hmm. So I tracked down. I eventually got a hand on some episodes, and I was like, I'm just gonna get super stoned and try and paint. And I did, and it turned out not bad. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If you're on my social media, you can probably find that picture somewhere. It's like a snowy sort of backdrop with some trees and stuff, and I was stoned out of my mind.
At a lot of the larger conventions, like the comic books, and I think some of these like Twitch conventions or whatever, they actually have a setup where they'll do the Bob Ross do-it-yourself paint, where you can go and there will be somebody there teaching in the Bob Ross manner, and you basically sit there and try to learn how to paint while all these people are walking around you left and right. And you have about 20 or 30 people trying to do it. So, I mean, it's become just an interesting phenomenon.
Oh, if you want the full story on that, go watch the Bob Ross documentary on Netflix. And it'll make you not want to do that, because you're like, oh my God, the people who are running this stuff now are evil.
Well, yeah. His whole, where he started and how he ended up is an interesting story anyways.
But yeah, go check out that Netflix one. But back to LeVar Burton here.
LeVar.
So he helped save Reading Rainbow with a record-breaking Kickstarter. In 2014, Burton launched a Kickstarter campaign to revive Reading Rainbow as a digital app and classroom resource. The campaign raised $1 million in less than 12 hours, eventually earning over $6.4 million. One of the most successful Kickstarters ever. The new Reading Rainbow digital platform provided free educational content for thousands of classrooms. And finally, he was once a Jeopardy fan favorite for host.
Yep, remember that.
After the passing of Alex Trebek, fans rallied for LeVar Burton to be the new Jeopardy host. Burton guest hosted the show in 2021, but the role ultimately would go to Ken Jennings and Mayim Bialik. Oh, I believe it's just Ken Jennings now.
I think so.
I don't think Mayim Bialik's doing it anymore. But despite not landing the job, Burton remained grateful and acknowledged how much fan support meant to him.
I remember that whole thing.
All right.
The fans really wanted him, but I don't think the producers were all excited about it. It created like this whole, I remember being like on Twitter, this whole thing.
It was a thing, man. All right, here we go.
I never watched Jeopardy, so I don't care.
I have a Jeopardy calendar.
Hey!
All right, we'll get right to this there, Frank.
I love Bill and Ted.
Things that you did not know about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Or maybe we'll see if Frank already knew all of this stuff.
Be good.
Well, it was released on February 17th, 1989. It had a budget of $10 million, made $40.5 million at the box office. Bill and Ted were originally surfer dudes, not time travelers.
Mm-hmm.
The original concept for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure didn't involve time travel. Writers Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon initially imagined Bill and Ted as a couple of stoner-like dudes who accidentally messed up history by giving bad history reports. The time travel element was added later to make their adventure more engaging and structured. Do you remember what the original time machine was supposed to be?
I've heard it before, but it's slipping my mind right now.
It was supposed to be a van.
See, I was going to go with like a station wagon. I don't know why I was thinking station wagon.
Early drafts featured a 1969 Chevy van as the time machine instead of a phone booth. The change was made to avoid similarities to Back to the Future,
right,
where a DeLorean was used for time travel. Now, the phone booth ended up... What's that?
I was going to say, if they were stoners and they were in the van, they definitely would have possibly been, traveling in time and not being aware of it, because they would have been...
Yes. Now, the phone booth ended up working perfectly for the film's comedic tone, even though it later drew unintentional comparisons to Doctor Who.
Right.
But I thought, with that, you can see back here how they're all crammed in the phone booth.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty on point.
That's Beethoven.
Beethoven, yeah. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter auditioned for each other's roles.
Yeah, I was going to say something about that, but I didn't want to jump ahead on you.
During casting, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter auditioned for both parts because producers weren't sure which actor fit which role better. After testing, they settled on Reeves as Ted and Winter as Bill, and their natural chemistry made the duo iconic. To this day, both actors say they feel like equal halves of their characters.
Have you seen, now all this stuff gets out, but have you seen the audition tapes for Bill and Ted?
I don't think so.
Pauly Shore tried out for Bill and Ted, and there's an audition tape with him trying out for Bill, and it's basically just Pauly Shore being
Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore.
He was the weasel, bud.
And it's like he was like, I think he would talk about it, saying he had they were trying to get stoner guys to play these characters. He's like, well, hey, I'm a stoner dude, and he thought he'd have it wrapped up, and then he was told he wasn't a fit for the role. He's like, wait,
that's me.
Yeah, but yeah, you can find the different people who auditioned for the same thing with Back to the Future. There's all those the Ben Stillers and the whatnot that did for Back to the Future, but you can find the Bill and Ted audition tapes, and it's crazy the names that actually auditioned for those roles. I
always liked when SNL would do the lost audition tapes for certain things.
For Star Wars.
Yeah, and that's the one that always comes to mind because it was somebody was playing Richard Dreyfuss. I can't remember who it was. And I just remember him going, I was in Jaws. Like he's getting pissed off that they don't know who he is and he was in Jaws. So they should know who
when he playing like
I think it was
Obi-Wan
Daryl
Kenobi.
Hammond, maybe? What's that?
Yeah. It was Daryl Hammond, and he was like playing. He was supposed to be Richard Dreyfuss trying out for like Solo or Obi-Wan Kenobi or something, wasn't it?
Yes. And he's like, he's getting super bent out of shape because they don't know who he is.
Right.
Napoleon's water slide scene was filmed at a real water park.
Oh.
The hilarious scene where Napoleon enjoys a water slide was filmed at Golfland Sunsplash, a real water park in Mesa, Arizona. The park kept the slide from the movie operational for years. The park kept the slide from the movie operational for years, even renaming it the Waterloo. The actor playing Napoleon, Terry Camilleri, admitted that he had never been on a water slide before and had way too much fun filming the scene.
I just want to say in that scene, see what he's wearing?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember when he got out of the water, what happened to that suit?
It was all stuck on him, wasn't it?
And do you remember he was wearing nothing underneath? What was the production's thought on that of getting a 40-year-old man in a white suit that's going to get wet around children with nothing on underneath?
It was supposed to be era appropriate.
But I'm just saying,
accurate, I should say.
But what are we doing, man? Like my dude got out of the water and you just saw it all. Just like, let's just say Napoleon wasn't just short in his stance. All right, I mean there were things that he was short on.
And finally, did you know Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was almost never released due to bankruptcy? After production wrapped in 1987, the original distributor went bankrupt, leaving the film in limbo. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure sat unreleased for 2 years, and it almost never saw the light of day. Eventually, Orion Pictures picked up the film, releasing it in 1989, where it became a surprise hit and a cult classic.
George Carlin. Look at him dyeing the hell out of his hair.
He was great as Rufus, man.
He was. Did
Did
you ever see the third one? How they paid the homage to him?
No, is it good?
Yeah, I liked the third one. I thought it was pretty good. But there's basically like a statue in when they head to the future, when they travel to the future of Rufus. Yeah, and like both Bill and Ted, thank him for sending them on their ways. So that was pretty cool.
All right, you ready, Frank, to do some movie poems?
Movie poems.
Michael Bay. He was born on February 17th, 1965. And I have 5 different poems here written by AI that describe Michael Bay movies. And Frank is going to have to guess what movie it's talking about. Are you ready?
Yeah, and I don't know if I remember all of his movies.
Oh, you'll get these. Don't worry. You'll get these.
All right.
Here we go. First one. Can you guess this Michael Bay movie based on a poem written by AI? An island prison, a hostage scheme. A chemist joins the action team. Green pearls shine, but not for show. One wrong move, you're set to glow. A car chase roars, the streets ignite. Winners go home and sleep just right.
Winners go home and sleep with the prom queen. That's The Rock.
Hey-o!
Gentlemen, welcome to The Rock.
Welcome to The Rock. All right, you got
Now I'm going to go find my wife and slap her.
Smack her around a little bit.
I'm going to slap my wife in her face.
All right, next one. Can you guess this Michael Bay movie based on a poem written by AI? One's got charm, the other is stressed. Together tough, they're still the best. A case gets wild, the bullets fly. Fast cars drift and villains die. Rules get bent, but where's the clue? They won't stop, so what you gonna do?
That's Bad Boys.
Damn, look at you, buddy. Bad Boys.
I don't know why. At first, I was thinking the Jackie Chan, Chris.
Rush Hour?
Tucker. Rush Hour for some reason.
Yeah, Bad Boys released April 7th, 1995. Oh, I've got the pictures. You see, you got to remind me. So here's welcome to The Rock.
This is The Rock.
Welcome to The Rock. And then here's your Bad Boys. All right, next one.
The first one I really enjoyed. The others I couldn't really get behind.
Can you guess this Michael Bay movie based on a poem written by AI? The sky is falling, time runs thin. So call some drillers, strap them in. Not trained for space, but that's all right. They'll learn to fly overnight. A hero stays, the world set free. Now cue the song, and don't blame me.
That would be Armageddon.
Hey-o! Another point for Frank. Armageddon released June 30th, 1998. That's actually a movie that as I'm like working on things, I'll just kind of throw up Hulu or some other streaming service and kind of let it play in the background. That's one I've been watching. I enjoy Armageddon because you heard
it's a
what
popcorn movie.
I was gonna say. You heard what Ben Affleck said to Michael Bay when he's like, wouldn't it be easier to train the astronauts to drill and not train drillers to be astronauts? And Michael Bay just told him to shut up.
Yeah, he's like, then you wouldn't be here. Shut the hell up.
All right, we got two more here, Frank. Can you guess this Michael Bay movie based on a poem written by AI? Two best friends, one love, one war. A history lesson with Bayhem galore. Planes rain fire, the harbor shakes. Dramatic stares, some questionable takes. The action's big, the runtime's long. But hey, at least there's that one song.
That's Pearl Harbor.
Yeah!
And what I will say is, like, the action scenes at the beginning of the movie are great, but the rest of the movie is complete chalk. It is just, if it wasn't for what's her face being in that movie, Kate Beckinsale, that is such a garbage movie.
No, I totally forgot the pictures again, Frank.
Oh, hey, don't forget Kate
Armageddon.
Beckinsale.
There's your Pearl Harbor. I remember when they brought this out on DVD.
Yeah.
They split the goddamn movie between two DVDs.
Yeah, I actually have that one. So, you know what's even funnier is, though? I saw reports at that time. They had brought in survivors of Pearl Harbor to watch the movie, right? And they said halfway through the movie, a majority of them got up and walked out. Because they thought it was such a trash movie.
Well, I mean, they're trying to make it into like a love story and stuff.
Yeah.
And I still remember when I think they're on the aircraft carrier. And Alec Baldwin's there. And one of the guys, he's like, you seem pretty confident, sir. Why do you seem confident? He goes, because of them right there. Yeah. I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'll still watch it if it's on, though.
he was Doolittle for the Doolittle raid, which was an actual thing that happened.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Final one. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess this Michael Bay movie based on a poem written by AI? Cars that talk, a cube in play. A boy just wants his ride to stay. Robots punch, the city's toast. The army helps, but not the most. Explosions blast, the lens flares shine, and somehow bees still steal the line.
So before I say what this is, did you see that they have a new Jurassic Park movie coming out? Did you see the trailer came out for it today? So
why are we pivoting?
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pivot right back to it.
Okay.
Somebody made the point today, and I thought it was a pretty good point. They're like, the Jurassic Park movies have now become like the Transformer movies, where you had the first one that was either good or decently good, and then the others are just continuing that franchise on, and they're just not that good. There might be one here or there that's good or not, but yeah. So we're talking about the Transformers and how Jurassic Park has become like the Transformers movies.
Look at Frank going roundabout there. Transformers released July 3rd, 2007. Oh, going back to Pearl Harbor 2, that was released May 25th, 2001.
Don't forget yeah, it was a day before my birthday. That's why I remember that. Don't forget your picture of the Transformers.
Oh, thank you for that there, Frank. Look at that. There war our world. I still remember when this came out because they sent the radio station that I was at in Florida the coolest fucking toys, man. Like I remember the promotion director. He just randomly called me and he's like, "Hey, come to my office." And I go down there and he's like, "Here," and he hands over all these fucking Transformer toys, dude. I was like, "This is awesome!" including a full working Optimus Prime helmet.
Ah, I thought you were about to say Megan Fox. It's like full operating.
Yeah, full functioning Megan Fox. There you go. All right, trekking along here. Well, we gotta start speeding this thing up.
Speed.
Speed it up. Here we go.
Keanu Reeves. Speed.
Things that you did not know about the movie Blue Chips. For some of you, you might be wondering, what the hell is that? You might be learning what Blue Chips is. It was a movie released February 18th, 1994. It bombed at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
The budget was $35 million. It only made $26 million. Although, here's some things you may not know.
When it came out, it was a horrible time. They tried to get it right before March Madness, but it just... middle of February is a dead period for movies.
Real basketball players were cast instead of actors. By the way, this dude was a real basketball player. He just played overseas. Director William Friedno is like Cover or something like that. I had it somewhere, but let us know in the comments down below. Director William Friedkin insisted on casting real basketball players rather than actors to ensure authenticity. So you had guys like Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway playing college basketball when they were cast, and this was kind of the how they got hooked up, and where Penny ended up getting drafted by the Magic because Shaq went to the Magic to be like, you need to draft this kid.
Yep.
Other real players in the film include Bobby Hurley, Rick Fox, and Larry Bird. Nick Nolte modeled his character after the a-hole Bobby Knight. Seriously, like there's a Portland sports show that I listen to called Isaac and Suk, and Suk was talking about what an a-hole that Bobby Knight was, and this is right after he passed away. And he goes, look, I'm tired of this. We're just going to sugarcoat things when somebody passes away, like he was Magic. He goes, no, the guy was a dick. Like, he put his hands on players. He threw chairs. Like, he was the epitome of just the piece of shit coach. But that's who Nick Nolte patterned his character after. Coach Pete Bell was heavily inspired by Bobby Knight, the legendary and controversial Indiana Hoosiers coach. Nolte studied Knight's mannerisms and coaching style, even attending Hoosiers practices to observe him. The film's fiery locker room speeches and sideline outbursts reflects Knight's real-life intensity and assholism.
By the way, he was an asshole.
He was an a-hole. The game scenes were shot like real college games. The basketball sequences were filmed during actual games in front of live crowds to create realism. The crew staged halftime and timeouts so Nolte and the players could interact naturally without the need for extra crowd, CGI, or fake reactions. Many of the plays were improvised as the real athletes were allowed to play freely during the filming. And this, of course, is where Shaquille O'Neal's acting career got started. Paved the way for later performances in the amazing Oscar-snubbed roles in Kazam and Steel.
I thought you were going to say Shazam.
His performance was well received, particularly his one-on-one scenes with Nick Nolte, where he held his own against the veteran actor. Shaq later admitted he was nervous about memorizing lines, but Nolte and the crew helped him feel comfortable on the set. And finally, did you know the message in Blue Chips was based on real NCAA scandals? Look at that, like could you imagine how all these tall dudes walking by you, man? Like, good God. Blue Chips examined the issue of college recruiting violations, where players receive under-the-table benefits. The storyline closely mirrored real-life NCAA scandals, particularly the SMU death penalty case, all the way back in the 80s, and other programs caught paying players. Like, if you want to go back to SMU getting the death penalty because Eric fucking Dickerson showed up in a gold Trans Am. I believe it was a Trans Am. It was, God, it's like, dude, really? Come on.
I was living a dream.
Oh, my God. All right. You ready, Frank?
Uh-huh.
All right, here we go.
What are we learning this time?
We're not learning anything. We are getting ready for... let me get everything situated here first. Let's go. Ba, 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 doo. All right, it's movie draft time. John Hughes was born February 18th, 1950, and he passed away on August 6th, 2009. So we are going to try to draft the best John Hughes triple feature. And we're doing it draft style. So once a movie is chosen, that's it. It's off the board. Normally, it is Frank, Lan, and myself. But as you can see, Lan not here. He's enjoying some family time right now.
Lan not here.
So it's going to go Frank, then myself. And then I asked ChatGPT to rank its top 9 movies from John Hughes. I haven't looked at that list yet, so we'll get to that here in a minute. But Frank, you get to go first. What is your first John Hughes movie?
I'm gonna go with the one that we talked about earlier. I'm going with The Breakfast Club. I think that was probably his best movie.
I know I have these stupid. I already showed the damn
picture
here somewhere. This is where I got to figure out better organizational skills. But there you go. There's your Breakfast Club, Frank. All right. Well, that's gonna
one of the better soundtracks.
That's a fantastic soundtrack. But that is gonna open the door for me of what I want to go with here, which is gonna be kicking off with
Ferris Bueller.
You got to go Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right?
Bueller.
I mean, trust me, there are other ones here that I'm gonna want. But we're gonna bounce over to old ChatGPT, and we are gonna look. Let's scroll up a little bit here. It had Ferris Bueller's Day Off as number 1. It had Breakfast Club at number 2. So that gets its number 3 movie, which would be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Trains and Automobiles.
Just watched this with my wife, man. It's it's such a good movie. It's also such a heartwarming movie because John Candy does such a fantastic job in this movie. All right, let me just give me 2 seconds here. This is why I need a goddamn producer, somebody to take care of all this shit for me.
Hey, you produces.
All right, so then we had Planes, Trains, and Automobiles going back to ChatGPT. Its next movie is going to be what are you guessing, Frank? What do you think is coming up on ChatGPT's list?
Man, I think it's gonna go Home Alone or Vacation, Christmas Vacation, one of those.
Nope.
16 Candles.
16 Candles. So I'm kind of glad that it did that. Now I got to see. Now here's where you play the game. This is why we play the game.
Why we play the game.
So let me, because Frank's gonna get to choose, and I got to figure because I got a couple of movies that I got to have on my list here. I gotta have them. I gotta have them. But the first one I'm gonna go with is The Great Outdoors.
Great Outdoors. The old 96er.
Blow it out your ass. Hey, Dad, while you're blowing the whole family out your ass. Such a good movie. All right, Frank. And you get to go back to back. Hopefully you don't take one of mine, but what do you got?
Probably will, but my personal favorite has a little spot in my heart. There is Uncle Buck.
Hey-oh! I had a feeling you were probably going to go Uncle Buck.
I love me some Uncle Buck. That character has just sat with me forever. I love me some Uncle Buck.
All right, and then what's going to be your third?
Oh, the options. I really want to try to screw you over, but I'm gonna go with Weird Science.
Ah, that's it, you son of a bitch! That's the one I wanted. God.
Gotcha.
I was hoping you were gonna go rogue and be like, oh, I'm gonna pick this like Curly Sue or some shit like that.
Let's go with Dutch.
Was Dutch John Hughes?
I think he produced it.
Okay. Ah, damn it! Yeah, I was hoping to get that. Like that was my ideal triple feature. It was going to be Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Great Outdoors, wrapped up with Weird Science.
He wrote Dutch.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it would still count. I would throw it in there.
Yeah.
All right, but since you went with Weird Science, and I don't really want to go with any Christmas movies on mine.
Yeah, that's why I stayed away from Home Alone and everything.
So we're going Mr. Mom.
Yeah, I thought about that one too. It's a good one.
So I would have been okay had you chosen Mr. Mom because I would have preferred Weird Science, but I'm perfectly fine choosing Mr. Mom. And then we're going to mosey on over to ChatGPT. So they had Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Breakfast Club, that's gone. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, that's gone. 16 Candles, gone. So it's going to end up on, what do you think?
101 Dalmatians.
No, but I do have that. Here.
I didn't realize he wrote that.
Yeah. No.
Beethoven.
There you go. Yeah, I'd get Home Alone, and then
Home Alone,
Uncle
of
Buck,
course.
National Lampoon's Vacation, Weird Science, and then Pretty in Pink.
I enjoyed Pretty in Pink, but there's a lot of people now that have a lot of issues with that movie as far
Who
as some of
cares?
this stuff
It was
that
the
happens in it.
Dude. It was the 80s.
Oh no, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on
It's
that.
a different
but you know how
time,
it is.
man. Can't completely
how it
shun
is.
everything just because it doesn't line up by today's standards. You use it as an educating tool. How about
Hey.
that, dipshits?
That era is over, baby.
All
Is
right.
that what everyone's saying now?
Charlie says that he is not able to sign up. Frank, do you know how to find? This is the problem. Is that again my YouTube looks different. So
when you are, let me pull it up real quick. When you're on and you're viewing, like I don't know on the phone, I know on the PC, there is a
there's a membership tab.
yeah.
Is that where
Trying
you
to
pay?
find
Yeah,
it.
because again, mine doesn't look. Mine isn't gonna look the same. So
Okay, so off into, I think it's underneath the if you go to the little dollar sign that's underneath the chat, you can click on that and it should open up where you have super stickers, super chat, membership gifting, and
so membership. Membership gift. No, I think that's just gifting
Well, see,
memberships.
well, no, that's because I'm already a member, so it's just gonna have gifting for me. But
Oh.
it should also have see, like, look at this, watch this. It should have like your chance to go ahead and I think become a member on that, or there should be at least a member link somewhere on there that'll say like
Huh.
that you can do it. So it's going to be either below the chat or somewhere below the screen.
All right, let me know. Let me know if you're not able to find it there, Charlie. After that, and then hit me up, and I'll if I can find a direct link, I'll try to send that to you. But here we go. All right, moving on, Frank. This is the perfect music, by the way, for what we're about to talk about.
Is it more 80s movies?
No, it's not 80s movies. It is Mr. Rogers'
Mr.
Neighborhood.
Rogers.
So it debuted on February 19th, 1968. It lasted 31 seasons, 912 episodes before it wrapped up on August 31st, 2001.
Again, that was one of those that I would probably watch if I was at like a daycare or a morning care system, but never really watched at home.
I honestly don't ever really remember watching it. I remember it terrified me.
I'd going into the world of fairy tale or whatever it was.
Yeah. No, the thing that got me was that the one puppet that looked like an alcoholic because it had the giant red nose and the cheeks.
Yeah. No, that one got everybody in the
Scared
world
the
of make
shit out of
believe. The world of make believe.
Ugh. Well, Fred Rogers
Like this.
composed the show's music himself. The iconic theme, Won't You Be My Neighbor, and much of the show's music were written and performed by Fred Rogers himself. Rogers was a trained pianist and composer, and he believed music was a powerful tool for communicating with children. The show frequently featured live jazz performances and Rogers' close friend, Johnny Costa, playing the piano. And the show was
Jack,
inspired by Rogers' dislike of commercial TV.
All right.
Fred Rogers initially worked in television behind the scenes, but was frustrated by the way children's programming relied on slapstick violence and fast-paced action. He wanted to create a gentler, more thoughtful show that respected children's emotions and intelligence. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood debuted nationally in 1968 and became one of the longest-running children's programs in TV history.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know Mr. Rogers' famous sweaters were knitted by his mother? Rogers' iconic cardigan sweaters, which he put on at the start of every episode, were hand-knitted by his mother, Nancy Rogers. She made sweaters for family members every Christmas, and Fred wore them on air as a tribute to her. One of his sweaters is now in the Smithsonian Institute as a piece of American history.
Okay.
The show also tackled some pretty serious subjects. Unlike many children's shows, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood openly discussed difficult real-world topics. I don't know what it's talking about here. I thought He-Man was covering a lot of really difficult topics. But some of the ones...
I can tell you what's happening here.
Well, I can too.
Oh.
That's what I'm about to get to.
I thought you were honestly being like, you didn't know.
You legitimately rolled past the joke that I said about He-Man.
No, I got that too, but I thought you were trying to be like your little jokey jokes.
No. So it covered death.
Sorry.
There was an episode about the passing of a pet fish. Divorce, explaining how families can change but still love each other. The assassination of Robert F. Kennedy. He helped children process the tragedy in 1968. And as the photo shows, the racism. Officer Clemens, played by Francois Clemens, shared a swimming pool with Rogers in a groundbreaking moment. Rogers believed in helping children navigate their emotion through kindness and understanding. And finally, Fred Rogers defended PBS in front of Congress. In 1969, the U.S. government considered cutting PBS funding. And now we're just completely getting rid of the Department of Education.
Everything. Well, I mean, our education is such crap anyways. What does it matter?
True. Rogers gave an emotional testimony in front of Congress explaining the importance of public television and how his show helped children. His speech was so moving that Senator John Pastor, who initially seemed indifferent, responded, "I think it's wonderful. Looks like you just earned the $20 million. His testimony is now considered one of the most famous moments in public broadcasting history. And I would say in moments of Congress as well. That was huge. Huge. Let me tell you, it was huge.
Huge.
We're going to get rid of the Department of Education. I didn't have an education, and look how amazing I am. All right, moving on.
Alan Rickman.
Hold on, Frank, one more time.
My name is Alan Rickman. You know me from such movies as Die Hard and Harry Potter.
Yes, we're talking about Alan Rickman, some things that you might not know about him. He was born on February 21st, 1946. Unfortunately, he did pass away January 14th, 2016.
Robin Hood.
Oh, he was so good in that. Oh, he was so good in that movie. Did you know J.K. Rowling had to reveal Professor Snape's backstory that was not yet in the books to get Alan Rickman to take the role?
I could see that.
When Rickman was first offered the role of Professor Snape in Harry Potter, he hesitated because he didn't want to be typecast in fantasy roles. J.K. Rowling personally convinced him, revealing secret details about Snape's backstory that weren't yet in the books. This knowledge allowed Rickman to subtly portray Snape's hidden depth and loyalty throughout the films long before the fans knew the truth. Hans Gruber was his first movie role. Die Hard, 1988. Yippee-ki-yay.
Don't shoot me.
It was Rickman's first ever film. You're one of them.
Oh.
He nearly passed on it because he didn't want to do action movies. His iconic villain, Hans Gruber, is now considered one of the greatest movie villains of all time. The scene where he falls to his death, Rickman was actually dropped unexpectedly from 40 feet up, leading to his genuinely shocked reaction.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
On a sad note, he had a secret battle with cancer. Rickman was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2015, but kept his illness private while continuing to work. Even his close friends and co-stars had no idea about his condition. His death in 2016 was a shock to the world, and tributes poured in from J.K. Rowling, Emma Thompson, Daniel Radcliffe, and countless others. That's one I do remember, because I think it was that morning we were talking about it on the morning show.
I think like he was like around the same, wasn't that the same year Bowie? Like that was like one of those years you had a lot of like.
It was in that same time frame, I think. Yeah. Oh, it was because when he passed away in 2016, and it was like, oh my God, all these celebrities were dropping, right?
Yeah, but we also are paying attention more to that stuff.
I just remember him as the Metatron from Dogma. So good.
Galaxy Quest.
All right, are you ready? Oh, fuck yes, dude. All right, are you ready for this next picture?
Uh-huh. Holy crap.
He was a classically trained Shakespearean actor.
Yeah, he took that stuff seriously.
Before making it big in Hollywood, Rickman was a respected stage actor at the Royal Shakespeare Academy. His first major breakthrough came in... Now, when I wrote all this out, I knew I was going to butcher it, but we're going to give it a shot here. Les Liaisons Dangereuses, where he played the sinister Vicomte de Valmont on stage. His rich, deep voice and commanding presence made him one of the most captivating Shakespearean actors of his generation.
All right.
And finally, he directed and starred in his own period drama. Rickman directed A Little Chaos in 2014, a historical drama starring Kate Winslet. The film was about the construction of the gardens in Versailles and featured Rickman as King Louis XIV. It was his final directorial project, showcasing his deep love for storytelling beyond acting.
All right. Was he a CCCP hockey player?
He was not.
Oh, I was about to say, look at him go.
What kind of music do I want for this? Let's go here. This is the evil music for the evil Soviet Empire. Because we're talking about the Miracle on Ice. It happened February 22nd, 1980. I was less than a month from existing on this planet.
Yeah, I wasn't born either.
The Soviet Union had dominated for over a decade.
Cheaters.
Going into the 1980 Olympics, the Soviet Union's hockey team was considered unstoppable, having won 4 straight Olympic gold medals, 1964, 68, 72, 76. They had also beaten NHL All-Stars the year before, proving their dominance over even the world's best professionals. Many believe the U.S. had no chance, as the Soviets had crushed them 10-3 in an exhibition game just weeks earlier. By the way, talking about this, it's going to make me want to go watch Miracle. Good movie. Kurt Russell, baby. The U.S. team was made up of college players. Unlike the Soviets, who had seasoned veterans and de facto professionals, the U.S. team consisted entirely of amateur and college players, including the kid that played, I think it was Tad, that dates Rachel in Friends.
Yep.
The average age of the U.S. team was just 21 years old, making them one of the youngest teams in Olympic history. Coach Herb Brooks deliberately chose young, hungry players instead of experienced ones, believing they would respond better to his demanding coaching style. Mm-hmm. The Soviets shockingly pulled their legendary goalie.
Yep.
The Soviet goaltender, Vladislav Tretiak, was considered the best in the world at the time. After the U.S. tied the game 2-2 in the first period, Soviet coach Viktor Tikhonov, again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right. If you know Russian, or if, I just sound like an idiot, let me know in the comments.
Sounds right.
He made the shocking decision to pull Tretiak in favor of backup goalie Vladimir Mushkin. The move stunned the Soviet players, and many later admitted it hurt their confidence as they saw it as a panic move.
Well, the Russians and their panic moves.
The final 10 minutes was pure defense. After Micah Ruzioni scored the go-ahead goal, putting the U.S. up 4-3, there were still 10 minutes left in the game. Instead of sitting back, the Soviets launched a relentless attack, outshooting the Americans 39-16 for the game. Goaltender Jim Craig made incredible saves, and the U.S. defense held strong until the famous final seconds when Al Michaels delivered his legendary call.
Yes!
What did he say, Frank?
You didn't hear me?
No, I just heard you say yes.
I said, do you believe in miracles?
Yeah, we got to get you a new mic, man. It cuts off.
I think it does that when you get too high voice.
Your microphone
sucks. We're not going to do it for you, sir.
Your microphone sucks.
Probably.
Before I get to this final one here, I want to scan through this picture, see if there's anything funny that Frank's going to point out. Like the photographer hanging on the glass. This chick grabbing his leg.
But look at the guy in the yellow.
This guy?
With the white hat. Yeah, like, he's not thrilled at all. He must be Russian. Or Canadian, because wasn't that up close? That was like up in New York State somewhere.
And finally, did you know, despite losing to the United States in the Miracle on Ice, the Soviet Union could still have won gold? Follow this. The top two teams from each group ended up playing the top two teams from the other group one time. Points from previous games against their own group carried over, excluding teams who failed to make the medal round. The United States and Sweden made it from their group, while Finland and the Soviet Union made it from the other. Had the United States lost to Finland in the following match and the Soviet Union won, which they did, they would have won the gold medal with 4 points and an 8-goal differential, while the U.S. would not have medaled at all.
I think that's one of those things where people bring up, it's a lot of people view it as that was like supposed to like the gold championship game, and that we beat the Russians in the gold game, and it actually wasn't. It was like the game setting up the medal games, because I think throughout history,
kind of.
It's kind of gone that way.
Because the way that you would think is that the United States won, and then Finland won, so that put them in the gold medal match. So the winner, because this is how it's done now, so the winner wins gold, the loser wins silver. That's not how this was set up. Your 4 final teams were the United States, Sweden, Finland, and the Soviet Union. And so what ultimately happened was the U.S. was at the top of the table after their victory over the Soviet Union, but if they lost, they would have come in 4th place. And the Soviet Union, who ended up beating Sweden, would have come in 1st place. So the Miracle on Ice would have meant nothing, and the Soviet Union still would have won the gold. Fucking boom. All right, we got 2 more, Frank. You got it in you, man? We're doing long streams here.
Dose more.
For anybody who is not privy to the information that I provided at the beginning of the live stream, there's going to be a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, where we're off because I got a vacation coming up with the family at the beginning of March. But we also are in the process of purchasing a house. And so we're shooting for March 3rd as the closing date. And so the whole, so that's going to mean that possibly during March, we're going to need to, we're going to be moving at that time. So I'm going to try to get the live streams and everything up, but that's also why these live streams are running a little bit longer. And it's really just because I'm trying to bank as much content as I can so I can get it all scheduled out so that it'll roll over. So while I'm in Disney World with my family or I'm moving and all this other stuff, I don't really have to worry about the content there. All right, Frank, are you ready, my man?
Yeah, let's do something.
All right. You ready for the next one?
More Michael Bay.
Falling Down.
Dude, I love this movie, but you want to talk about a dark movie.
Oh, boy. It was released on February 26th, 1993, had a budget of $25 million, made $96 million at the box office, and I specifically remember guys on my baseball team talking about this movie. And then I asked my parents if they would rent it for me on VHS, and they were like, yeah, we will. Like, you know, they give you kind of a pep talk ahead of time to be like, hey, it's like, it's disturbing stuff. And then after I watched it, my parents were like, yeah, it's not a comedy. And I'm like, I didn't think, like, they're talking about it. I didn't think it was a comedy.
I was home sick one day. Well, I should air quote sick. And watching HBO, and this one came on, and I remember just being I couldn't turn the channel away and just like, holy crap, my dude is having a bad day.
See, this is something that I want to start doing, but the movies change so quickly. But as of now, let me see if it's even available on a streaming service.
Well, I own it. I bought that on.
Well,
Blu-ray
Frank
a
doesn't
few
have
years
streaming
ago, so
services.
it's
Yeah, you can rent it on Apple TV. It looks like it's about the only place that it's available. But so there you go. So here's some things that you might not know about Falling Down. Michael Douglas considered it his most complex role.
Mm-hmm.
He said that playing William Defense Foster was one of the most challenging roles of his career. He described the character as a man who sees himself as the hero, but is actually the villain, making the role emotionally and psychologically demanding. Douglas also mentioned that while some viewers sympathized with Foster, the film was meant to critique his mindset, not glorify it. But it's one of those movies where I think far too many people, obviously,
he became the anti-hero.
Yeah, they relate to him, or they don't relate to him in the sense that he's out like literally shooting people, but they relate to his frustrations, is what it is. Now, the movie was inspired by real-life economic frustrations. The film was written in the early 1990s during a period of economic recession and social tension in Los Angeles. Screenwriter E.B. Rose Smith said he wanted to explore the anger of middle-class men feeling powerless in a rapidly changing world. Many of the film's themes, such as job loss, urban decay, and frustration with bureaucracy, were influenced by real societal issues at the time. And going back to around that timeline as well, my wife and I started watching that new OJ documentary. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Also, it was filmed in the hottest part of LA's summer. And the movie was filmed entirely in Los Angeles during a brutally hot summer, adding to the sweaty, oppressive feel of the film. The opening traffic jam scene was shot over several days with real temperatures exceeding 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Many crew members and extras struggled with the heat, which actually helped create the film's intense, claustrophobic atmosphere.
God, do you remember those boxed Toyotas and Hondas? I remember my dad had one of those Corollas, those boxed Toyota Corollas.
See, I don't think we ever had one of those. Around this time was when we had a Mercury Sable, which was essentially the Ford Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good car, as far as I know. I never heard my parents complaining about it.
Well, my dad ran his into the ground. He had it for about 7 or 8 years before he finally had to give it up.
Yeah, that's how you roll with that, son.
Mm-hmm.
The Whammy Burger scene was based on a real incident. One of the most famous scenes in the film is where Defense loses his temper in a fast food restaurant because they stopped serving breakfast. Remember? I don't want breakfast. I want lunch. The scene was inspired by real stories of customers getting angry over fast food menu cutoffs. The restaurant Whammy Burger was a fictional brand, but the scene was filmed in a real McDonald's in Los Angeles. Can you think of another movie that tackled this highly controversial topic?
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Does that cover the?
I don't know. I thought like or.
Oh, you were talking about the Egg and Movie Muffin.
Clerks 2, where they're bitching about breakfast or something. I don't
know. Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Because he's talking about getting the kid an egg McMuffin, and they're like, "We stopped serving," and he goes, "Well, somebody gonna get a Happy Meal?"
At 10 o'clock, yeah.
All right. Did you know the movie Falling Down sparked controversy upon release? I know, shocking.
Yeah, right.
Some audiences saw Falling Down as a social commentary, while others viewed it as dangerously sympathetic toward violent outbursts. The film was released just a year after the 1992 Los Angeles riots, leading some critics to question its message about race, crime, and urban decay. Joel Schumacher, the film's director, clarified that the movie was not about endorsing Defense actions, not about endorsing Defense actions, but rather examining what leads people to snap.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a little bonus fact here for you, too. Robert Duvall's character was added to balance the story.
Yeah, I could see that.
The role of Detective Prendergast, played by Robert Duvall, was not in the original script. The character was added to provide a moral counterbalance to Foster and show that not everyone in a stressful world resorts to violence. Duvall's portrayal of a calm, rational cop retiring on his last day helped give the film a more nuanced perspective.
He was Danny Glover of this world. It's my last day. I'm retiring.
Yeah, he was getting too old for that shit.
Getting too old for this shit.
Getting too old for that shit. All right, final one, Frank. You ready?
Yeah. Johnny Cash. I have that poster right up on my wall here. Right up there.
Johnny Cash. Born February 26th, 1932. He passed away on September 12th, 2003. Here's some things that you might not know about the legend.
The Man in Black.
He was the first musician to play a concert in a prison. In 1957, Johnny Cash became the first major artist to perform at a prison, playing at San Quentin State Prison. His most famous prison concerts at Folsom Prison and San Quentin were recorded live and became some of his biggest albums. Cash's performances resonated with inmates because his music often explored themes of redemption, rebellion, and hardship.
You want to hear a funny story?
Yes.
So I have a friend, and if he ever found out that I was talking about this, he would freaking hate me for it. But
Call him out by name.
no, I'm not gonna come up with him.
Okay.
But he used to. He was, I wouldn't say obsessed with Johnny Cash, but he was pretty close to being obsessed with Johnny Cash. And this was a couple years after the movie had come out, and he would always, talk about, Johnny Cash and quote that movie. But when we would go out and drink, when he would get drunk, he would act like Johnny Cash. And at first it was kind of funny. It was, yeah, look at you, you're doing. But then after a while, it became this like, oh man, you're getting a little weird with that, because he would just walk around and try to act as if he was Johnny Cash. Like he would try to like grab a microphone and start singing as Johnny Cash.
That's
singing
weird.
the songs. Or he would hit on women and go, hey, is your name June? And it just got really freaking weird. It's like even Halloween, he like dressed as Johnny Cash, and it was one of those things where like I was like, dude, am I gonna have to sit down with you and like have a conversation to tell you that you're not Johnny Cash, dude? Because you're
Maybe
getting
he
a
started
little
to think he
weird
was.
with this. I honestly do. I honestly think like that was an escape for him to be that guy, but it kind of got wild for a minute there.
Well, I mean, it could have been an identity thing, man. Maybe he wasn't
probably
confident
was.
in who he was, so he was looking for,
I'm pretty sure you're hitting the head right on the nail there, Chief.
Ding, 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 ding. All right.
But it was weird.
Did you know Johnny Cash was almost killed by an ostrich? That, not necessarily the exact ostrich.
Oh, you
In
son
the-
of a beach.
In the early 1980s, Cash kept exotic animals on his property in Tennessee, including a pet ostrich. One day, the ostrich attacked him, slashing his stomach with its powerful claws and nearly killing him. Cash survived, but had to be hospitalized, and the incident later became part of his legendary Wild Stories. And his deep voice came from a childhood injury. Cash's signature baritone voice became one of the most recognizable in music history, but he wasn't born with it. As a child, he suffered a severe throat injury when he was accidentally impaled by a wire while working on the family farm. The injury permanently deepened his voice, giving him the gravelly tone that made him a country legend.
That wasn't in the movie.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
He once started a forest fire and was sued by the government. In 1965, while camping in the Los Padres National Forest, California, Cash's truck caught fire. The flames spread quickly, destroying over 500 acres of land and killing dozens of endangered condors. The U.S. government sued him for $120,000 in damages, but Cash reportedly showed no remorse, saying, quote, "I don't care about your damn yellow buzzards."
Is it really his fault though if his truck catches fire? I mean,
I don't know, but he ultimately settled for $82,000, one of the largest fines for an individual caused wildfire at the time.
huh? There's got to be more to that story. Like he was like dumping gas on his car and lit it.
All right, well, here we go then. Frank, next episode,
I get to find out if he set his
need
car
to know.
on fire.
You look it up. You have a week to look it up. Give us more details on the infamous Johnny Cash forest fire. This is how you get homework on the show.
Jesus.
And finally, his final music video, Hurt, almost didn't happen. Did I download an AI picture?
Did you?
Can't really tell.
No, but it looks like they touched it up. But
There's something going on there. Yeah, that's not actually.
Yeah, it looks like it was touched up a little bit.
Well, his haunting cover of Nine Inch Nails' "Hurt" became one of the most powerful and emotional music videos ever made. He was frail and in poor health at the time, and his family wasn't sure if he should record it. Director Mark Romanek convinced them, and the video became a farewell tribute to Cash's life and legacy. Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails frontman, originally didn't want Cash to cover the song, but later admitted, "That song isn't mine anymore. It belongs to Johnny Cash now."
So I have your story as to how the forest fire started.
Well, are we going to source this, or are you just going to read something randomly off the internet?
No, it's actually there's 3 or 4 or 5 different sources that have the same story.
All from weird websites.
It wasn't a truck. Well, I should say it was a truck. It was one of those camper trucks. And it got stuck. And when he was trying to get it unstuck, he gunned the accelerator, which I guess caused sparks to shoot from his camper, which landed on the dry material that was around, which, as we all know, with California.
Yep.
Everything is dry there, and that's what started the forest fire.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you like and subscribe for more details from Frank.
There you go. So technically, on some level, he did kind of start it.
Yeah, he kind of pushed it a little bit there. But there you go. There's Johnny Cash. That's going to do it for the live stream. I got to go take care of a bunch of things. Again, just a heads up, coming up here in a couple of weeks, there's probably going to be at least 2 weeks that we won't be streaming. It might be 3. I'm not really quite sure. Beginning of March, we do have a trip planned, my family and myself, and then we're also going to be moving. We're in the process of purchasing a house, and then the goal is going to be to, the actual date, the closing date is going to be March 3rd. So,
all right.
We'll keep our fingers crossed, and you guys have yourselves a fantastic rest of your week. We're going to see you back here next Wednesday. Big Land should be back next Wednesday as well, and we'll see if we can't get Frank to deliver some more information. So that was glorious, Frank. That's what you got to do.
You're welcome.
All right. You guys have a great night.